I'm Ryan Marine, and I'm excited to bring you the next evolution in racing, the world's first global autonomous racing league, AWS Deep Racer. Since launch, over 140,000 developers from more than 150 countries have participated. And this year, the Deep Racer League is more accessible than ever before. With the all-new Student League presented by Intel, high school and college students worldwide can compete for scholarships, prizes, and glory. Students can get rolling with just a few clicks, no credit card required. All new AWS Deep Racer arcades will let you skip the coding, grab the wheel, and race head-to-head against AI. Compete from anywhere in the world in monthly virtual circuit races. And the Summit Circuit is back in person on physical tracks across the globe with more chances to qualify for one of 50 coveted spots in the championships at reInvent. Discover how you can accelerate your machine learning journey at deepracerleague.com.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Suman Devnath, a Principal Developer Advocate with Amazon EFS, and we are coming to you live from San Francisco. And with me, I have my co-host, Steve. Steve, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, .NET and PowerShell Developer Advocate at EC2.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And today we are going to talk about AWS Deep Racer, and you can see that here and this small little toy, and we are going to deep dive and talk about what it is and how you can get started with this. So for that, we have our guests, Eva and Joe. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Joe Fontaine. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager for AWS Deep Racer.
Hi, I'm Eva Paño, Product Manager for Deep Racer.
Excellent. Welcome to AWS Summit and AWS On Air. So before we get started, can you just brief us a little bit about what AWS Deep Racer is about?
Yeah, of course. AWS Deep Racer is an education tool at first, and it's made for any machine learning enthusiast curious about machine learning but don't really know where to start to get hands-on, get a first education about the machine learning fundamentals, and actually get to create their first reinforcement learning model with Deep Racer within only a few hours. So there's three main components for Deep Racer. One, it's a 1/18th scale
That's cool.
RC car driven by reinforcement learning. So it's not remote controlled. It's actually your machine learning model that will make it go around the track. It is based on an Intel Atom processor and a four-wheel drive monster truck chassis, as you can see. Then it's, in order to make your model, you'll have to go into the AWS Deep Racer console where you'll find a 3D environment that will enable you to train your model, evaluate your model, port it to the car, and then once you have your model ready, you are ready to compete in the AWS Deep Racer League, which is a global league of racers from all ages, all professions, participating every month in the virtual circuit.
All right, so I think you mentioned leagues there, and in the intro video it mentioned program things. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what are they? Who are they for? Is it everyone?
Absolutely. So AWS Deep Racer has educational programs for everyone, from students to individual developers to enterprises or institutions that are looking to upskill their teams with ML. So first, we have the AWS Deep Racer League. It's the world's first global autonomous racing league that's driven by reinforcement learning. There, individual developers compete monthly in the AWS Deep Racer League virtual circuit for prizes and to get rolling, or they can compete at any AWS summit globally on a real track with physical devices. Next, for customers that want to create a league of their own, we have AWS Deep Racer events. So this is a suite of tools that allow anyone to get started creating their own private racing league or live race in just a few clicks. And finally, launched at reInvent 2021, we have AWS Deep Racer Student. So this new service is specifically for students who are enrolled in high school or college and includes self-paced machine learning modules that can help them get rolling, and then they compete globally against other students in the student league.
Excellent. So I think it caters to a wide range of audience, starting from professionals to students. I heard that there is some program for scholarship as well. So can you just talk a little bit about who are eligible for that and what that scholarship is about?
Yeah, absolutely. So released in tandem with AWS DeepRacer student is the AWS AI and ML scholarship. So this scholarship is aimed at helping underrepresented and underserved high school and college students to learn the foundational concepts of machine learning to prepare them for careers in artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's delivered in collaboration with Intel and Udacity. And students from around the world can again access that DeepRacer student machine learning modules. Once they do, they can then take assessment quizzes, and then they compete in the DeepRacer Student League, attempting to achieve a 3-minute or faster time on any of the monthly races. Once they do that, they actually unlock a unique code that allows them to complete their application on Udacity to earn one of 2,000 AIML, AI Python for Programming Udacity Nano Degree scholarships. From those 2,000 annually, the top 500 will proceed on to a second, more advanced nano degree, which prepares them directly for entry-level SDE careers.
I think that's pretty exciting, because this is we are giving a platform to the students to come on board, learn, not only learn but also leverage that to be a part of AWS in long term. So, what is the overall vision of this scholarship? If you want to, talk a little bit about, what is the big mission that we have around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the vision for the AWS AI and ML scholarship program is to create a more diverse future tech workforce in AI and ML. So we'll do that by guiding technological innovation through a wider set of perspectives. Part of what sets the AIML scholarship apart from other tech scholarships in the space is the focus on mentorship. So as I mentioned earlier, everyone who goes through the scholarship program will get mentoring through the Udacity scholarship program, and then for that cohort of the top 500 in the second, they get a full year of mentorship from AWS or Intel tenured experts as they prepare for a career.
That's cool. So I know that we have DeepRacer tracks here at the summit because I'm making a beeline for those this afternoon to take a look at this. But can people actually get started with DeepRacer at the summit, or do you need to already be in the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a number of ways that you can get started with AWS DeepRacer right here at the summit today. The first is by attending one of our 2 workshops. So our first workshop is a 200-level course. It's great for anyone to get started with machine learning. In that 90-minute session, you'll learn the foundations of machine learning and reinforcement learning and build your first model that you can take directly to the track and race today or tomorrow to compete. Next, we have our business developer course. It'll walk you through AWS DeepRacer events and everything you need to do to create your own private race to upskill your teams. You can also skip the hard part, or skip the learning and go directly to the track by using one of the DeepRacer arcades. So as you pass on your way in, the DeepRacer arcades give you a 3 to 5 minute tutorial on just the foundational sort of bird's eye view concepts of reinforcement learning, and then you get to apply those by racing against an AI bot in a virtual simulation on a DeepRacer track.
I think that's pretty amazing, right? So I think one thing which I really want to highlight is if you are into a summit now, or you're planning to visit tomorrow in San Francisco, please do visit the AWS DeepRacer track to see all of that in action. But can you tell us a little bit about the folks who are joining us live and who cannot come to summit about the virtual race and how they can participate in those virtual circuits?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for anyone that is not currently at a summit, you can participate from anywhere in the world in the virtual circuit accessible from the AWS DeepRacer console. So every month we release new races from which the top 3 racers will advance to the Championship Cup at re:Invent.
Oh.
It's accessible to anyone, no machine learning experience required. Anyone above 18 is able to compete.
All right. Okay, so let's get to the all-important, right? You're in the program, you're in the leagues. What can racers win?
Right?
Right?
I mean,
What
that's
can you
why,
win,
that's why we
right?
compete.
I mean, the ML, don't get me wrong, it's all fun, it's all great racing goes, but what
do we
can you
get?
win?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, that's a very good question. And DeepRacer League offers lots of prizes for racers at all levels. So every new racer will enter the open division of the virtual circuit. the top 10% of every month will be promoted to the pro division. And with that promotion, they'll receive a pro welcome kit shipped to their door that includes a Deep Racer hoodie, Deep Racer track socks, a certificate of pro driving license, and additional goodies, stickers, and all the Deep Racer cool
Yep.
stuff. That's for the pros. You enter the pro and you already get goodies. Then the top 16 of the pro division meet every month on Twitch to compete live.
Yep.
The top 10 of them will receive an AWS Deep Racer, and the top 3 will earn an expenses paid trip to Las Vegas to reInvent to compete in the Championship Cup to get a chance to lift the Championship Cup and take home a $20,000 purse.
Very nice.
One of my favorite prizes, everyone that participates in the AWS Deep Racer League each month is actually eligible to receive a digital reward. So
Right.
every month we release a new reward for the Open and the Pro division. These are custom skins that you can apply to your virtual model. So as you train a new model, you can apply that skin, and then when you watch your evaluation, you have the new reward. They change every month, and once a month passes, you can't win them again. So it sort of shows your participation
kind of unique.
over time.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
they're cool designs. For example, for reInvent, we had a limo. Last year, we had a snail, a dragon,
Yeah, I think
Banana cars.
banana car.
I think one of the things which I realized is Deep Racer is not available in all the geographic right. So like we cannot purchase this from across the globe, right, because of a lot of other compliance. But that doesn't stop anyone to get started with Deep Racer since we have a lot of virtual leagues, and we can build our model, train our model, and deploy it, and see where we stand in those virtual leagues, and that might get us a ticket to reInvent, or we can get any of the prize that you all mentioned, right? So, so this is not the point that I'm trying to make is this is not related to that you need to have a device to get started, right? So you can get started, with your AWS account, and you are just ready to go, all right? So.
Yeah. And the device is now available in more and more regions than
Yep.
ever before. But with that, even when you have the device, the track is fairly large. And
Yep.
so you do need quite a bit of space to operate it. That makes attending a summit where we have the new Summit Speedway, which is 18 feet by 40 feet long, the largest we've ever done, a great way to apply your model in a real world environment. But as you mentioned, yeah, the virtual circuit allows you to compete from anywhere in the globe.
Yeah. And we have a great community as well, right? So just a couple of weeks back, I was just talking to someone who is an AWS ML hero, and he introduced me with a Slack channel for Deep Racer. And I thought that it was just another Slack channel, but I realized that I'm part of that Slack channel, and I was amazed to see how developers help other developers to get started, and many of them are actually top winners and got a reInvent ticket in 2019. Yeah.
That's a very good point. This is something that is very peculiar about Deep Racer, and I'm actually a contributor of the expansion of Deep Racer. Really, the community that is global, so supportive at all levels, all skills. It's beautiful. I'm pretty sure we'll have some heroes here today as well
cool.
from the Deep Racer community. I think we are at over 30,000.
Over 42,000
Wow.
members in that
Yeah.
community. And that community is deepracing.io for anyone
Yep.
looking to join. It's very active, great way to get tips, and competitors from all walks
Yep.
are
Yep.
active.
Cool. So I am, I would guess, part of the, in a way, a target audience for this because I know absolutely nothing about machine learning, right? And you've mentioned reinforcement learning a couple of times. Can you explain briefly what is that? What is reinforcement learning?
Yeah, reinforcement learning is a technique out of the machine learning scope, just like supervised learning or unsupervised learning.
Okay.
Yep.
And reinforcement learning relies on the fact that the agent learns instead of being provided a set of data, it learns as it goes
From its
based on
environment.
the environment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
So
it works around the reward function, right?
Exactly.
So it just tries to understand how this vehicle is doing or how this deep racer car is doing, and whether it's going from
Off track.
off track or not. If it is going on track, we will reward more, and that's how you complete the circuit in quick time,
Okay.
and you win the race, right? So. I think one of the important thing is, for any learner, is to get started with Deep Racer. Is in long run, we will motivate them to learn more about reinforcement learning and solve some business critical problem, and build on AWS, right? So the learning just starts from here, but the opportunities are enormous when it comes to reinforcement learning or machine learning in general, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And so one of the things we really focused on when developing Deep Racer was to make it easy to get up and started. You don't have to build an environment from scratch in a notebook. You don't have to spend a lot of time creating your agent to explore that space. We leverage other services like Amazon SageMaker or AWS RoboMaker, Kinesis video streams, to make it really easy to get up and running so you can learn the fundamentals of just training that model through a reward function with just a couple lines of code.
Yeah, and I think there is no such requirement to know a lot about machine learning. All that is needed is you should know a little bit of Python. Basically, you should know how and simple if conditions work, how a function works. That's all. You don't even have to know about object-oriented programming, and you can get started with this, right? So yeah, that's quite amazing.
And with our new first-time user flow in the console, we've actually made that easier than ever. So even if you don't have a ton of coding experience, we'll walk you through every step and how you can program that reward function. So you might even pick up a little bit of Python by using Deep Racer.
Absolutely.
Cool. So you mentioned earlier on that customers can have their own leagues. Is that an easy thing to set up?
It is. You can get started in just a few clicks using the community racing tools. So in the AWS console, on the left-hand nav, you'll see your virtual circuit, your garage, your profile, and then community races allow you to select from any track that we've ever had in the AWS Deep Racer virtual circuit. You can name your race, and then it even creates invites that you can share out with your team. So anyone with that URL can then submit to that leaderboard. You define when it starts and stops and the rules. And last summer, we actually released live racing. So we now have a suite of tools like templates for a Twitch broadcast or other best practices so that you can set this up. And we actually stream from in console to allow you to host your race and evaluate in real time.
Yep. Yeah, I think you raised a very good point. Last year in AWS Community Day in India, because I was based out of India at that time, and one of the AWS user group leaders said that, hey, we are hosting this AWS Community Day. Can we have a specialized Deep Racer league? And I thought that it's very complex, so I thought to just check with the Deep Racer team, and they just tell me that just go ahead to your AWS console and set up a league. That's all. And it took me 2 minutes to set up that whole league and share that link to the user group leader, and they share it with everyone who joined this community day. And at the end of the league, we gave 2 or 3 days to build their model and train that, and then we gave them prizes and swag. So if you are in a city where you have an AWS user group, in your city or the nearby, I would highly encourage you to reach out to the AWS user group, and we can help you with building up a Deep Racer league, which is catering only to your region. So I think that's how the community grows, and that's how we build the awareness of Deep Racer for people who are new to machine learning, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
so I think we are about we almost have a couple of minutes, but before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to share? How anyone can get started, or what is the next step if they want to start their machine learning journey with Deep Racer?
Yeah, I think anyone here in San Francisco at the summit can meet us at the track. And for anyone that's not in San Francisco, you can visit deepracerleague.com and get started for free with your first reinforcement learning model.
Excellent, excellent.
Awesome. I'll definitely be stopping by the track later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bring your model.
Oh, I wouldn't even have a model. I'm just going to come and have a look.
And so for our various types of users as well, you can get started by going to deepracerleague.com and join the virtual circuit. Or if you're a student, you can go to awsdeepracerstudent.com to get rolling there. If you're interested in creating your own event, awsdeepracerevents.com. And finally, to apply for the scholarship, you can go to awsaimlscholarship.com.
Wow.
He's got all the websites.
Yeah.
He's got them all listed, yeah.
He's got them all.
I bookmarked them.
So one last thing, we are talking about scholarships. So is there any deadline that we have to apply, or how frequently we have these scholarships?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the scholarship just went live on April 11th. We're running the scholarship in cohorts. So the first cohort will award 1,000 scholarships. That cohort ends on June 30th. The next cohort starts up immediately after and runs until September 30th. And the scholarship programs follow shortly after. So that first 1,000 will start their scholarship in mid-July, and then the following one starts in mid-October.
Okay, excellent. So I think this is quite interesting and quite informative, especially for people who are new to machine learning, right? So thank you so much for joining us today, Eve and Joe, and it was pretty interesting. And we are going to go to your physical circuit.
Circuit,
Physical circuit in a while. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So we'll see you in the next session soon.
Be back soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.